What up, though, everybody? It's Chris Platte, the Rap K podcast. Look, it is time. We are here 10 years later. Jermaine Cole, the fall off. I got the Dreamville hoodie on, man. I'm going to be running through the album and chopping up some clips of it, and then afterwards give you a quick breakdown of how I'm feeling about this album. I'm gonna be playing it and just listen to it. This is one experience off rip, one listen. It is midnight right now as we speak. I got it queued up to play. Um, First things first, before we get to the album, man, I'll say some predictions. First of all, I'd be absolutely stunned if there's no features. I think that whole no features gimmick of J. Cole is way in the past. Shout out to Forest Hills Drive 10-year anniversary. Figured that was the right vinyl to pick for this one. But I do think there will be features. And I know people are predicting Kendrick. People are predicting Drake. I think those are possible. But if you just had to ask me two that are like kind of off the wall or ones you might not expect, one you should expect is 21 Savage. I think Cole and 21 just got a good chemistry going this last couple of years, but I think he's going to bring Nas in because this feels like a love letter to hip hop between the letter that he wrote to us, the snippet that he played today with the common sample of The Light. I think this album is going to be a love letter to hip hop. You see it in the back album cover artwork. It's going to be a lot of hip hop samples. I'm expecting some like hip hop features. I'm not expecting a lot of pop records. I think J. Cole makes good music though, so I think there will be hits on here. But I'm excited to tap into it, man. Disc 1 is supposed to be his perspective of 29. Disc 2 is supposed to be his perspective at 39 and the kind of, I guess, the piece he's at with where he's at in the game. But look, this is one of the biggest artists. This is his last album that we know of. This feels like a really big moment, a really surreal moment. So I'm going to run the album through. I'll be chopping up that part and then into like clips and such. And then I will get to, at the very end, I'll just rip my takes that I got from the album. So, without further ado, got my drink, got my waters, got my music hooked up, and we are going to run. First track is called 29 Intro. I'm not going to be calling out the tracks and such because I'm going to be skimming through this, but I will be listening to the album front to back, and we are starting in order. And Big AP is in the back. He will be breaking down some commentary too as well. He will be a big part of this video. No, I'm kidding, but I'm working here. All right, man. Let's from the top. Let's run this shit. Let's run this shit. Shout out to Chris for putting up with. Yeah, I'm pausing right there and I'm talking. Disc 1. Like, first off, just gotta get this out the way. Like, holy shit, he's good at rapping. I know that's the most simple thing to say, but the rapping on this was just elite. And you knew that. And, I know a lot of people felt like, oh, how is he going to rap well and at work? I have to dig through these bars a little bit more, but I didn't get a lot of that, like, bravado-y, like, I'm the fucking best. There were a few lines there. There was some self-confidence, but nothing to really kind of make me think that this was like, oh, directly in conflict with the actions that happened in the battle. And I do think that this too is going to have that because this is supposed to be him in the state of his mind at 29. So that's before. It's just so interesting, man. I can't wait for a second disc because he talked about too how this album was originally supposed to be just this. And then 2024 happened, and he got so inspired that this second disc happened. So I don't know if this was the first album as is, and and all these other songs were gonna happen, or if it was always gonna be a balance between 29 and 39, and then he just made it a double album because of how locked in he was. I don't know the answers to that. I'm curious to see if anybody gets those answers from him in some interviews and stuff that he's doing, but takeaways, man, was just like, wow, like that in and of itself, if that is an album on its own, um amazing. Yeah, like that was phenomenal.
There's not a bad song, not even close to a bad song.
The versatility on there was absolutely fucking crazy in production. I thought Cole's melodies were as good as they've ever been, and Cole's been a good melody artist. Um, I don't know what's gonna like quote unquote like pop and like play a lot and like commercially,
I
but
think you have options there, and
yeah,
you know what I mean. I think that I think "Who the Fuck Is You."
that one's gonna be played at some fucking like I know I'm gonna play that on some pregame shit when I'm with the homies kicking it. Like
That kind
that
of
was crazy.
that
That was a standout. Holy shit.
not to compare him to Kendrick, but in the world of where we're at now, that puts him like it's kind of like a TV off with the beat switch,
Yeah.
and it kind of the beat switch kind of brings back this like old or there's like kind of old school element to it, but
Yeah.
so I don't know. That was a clinic.
That was just yeah, a masterclass. So again, I'm gonna cut out a lot of the recording of the actual music so I don't get copyright strike. Again, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the Rap Cave podcast. But in there, I said, I wonder if because Dis 29, we did the math, that kind of aligns with his age while he's making this album, 2014 Forest Hills Drive. And that was when he was on his no features shit. And there was a future sample, a future feature, and then a Thames feature was all I caught. Maybe like Boz did some background vocals or whatever. They work a lot together. So I wouldn't be surprised there. But for the most part, it was very Jermaine heavy. I think that this disc will have more features. I do. I think that this disc will have more features. I think he is going to reflect that. I'm curious to see what are the ways that he distinguishes himself, not just in terms of the content, but in terms of stylistically. Like stylistically, is he going to be doing, more modern beats, more modern flows? Everything didn't feel like old school or outdated, but it just had those hints of previous eras. So I'm wondering how fresh and modern and up to date this side of the disc is and kind of what we're going to get there. But I do think we're going to get more features. I do think that's going to be an intentional message from J. Cole on this album. And I'm really excited to get into disc 2, but disc 1 was that was a very very good album as is. That is an album that is absolutely like worth the wait. I feel like there's a lot to dig into there as you kind of sit with these records, but Disc 2, man, I'm really expecting. Like I said, I didn't get a lot of the stuff of the heavy hip hop samples. It felt like there were a few in there, but I think there's gonna be kind of more collaborations and homage to the older statesman as he is now an older statesman in this version of this second album here. I'm just very curious, man, to see what this is gonna be. I predicted that he was gonna off top disc 1. He was going to just address the battle. It makes sense that he didn't because again, going off the concept that wasn't a thing when that happened. Or when that album takes place theoretically. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to see what this next disc is gonna be and what it's gonna be about. Um, yeah, man, this is gonna be a journey. This is gonna be an absolute journey here. We're gonna have a lot to get to on this one. So I don't know if I have any more first thoughts on disc 1 other than just again, great job, Jermaine. Great production, great writing, um, great versatility. So I'm looking very much forward to seeing what Disc 2 has in store. And again, I do think there will be some differences and some moments there. We'll see how these predictions age. Let's get started with Disc 2. Disc 2 is going to start with the track 39 intro. And then Fall Off is Inevitable is the next song, which I think, judging by the single that he played, is gonna be that single because it was originally titled Disc 2 Track 2. So I'm guessing that that's that, but we'll confirm. Wow. Okay. To start with the positives. I feel like this again, I feel like the thing that I can point to as a hip hop fan when it comes to this album is that every single song he had a different flow. He had a different production style. He had different perspectives when he was writing, and we'll get to that one emotional record.
Yeah,
But
it's so incredibly cohesive.
yeah, it's
Insane.
like AP said, it's incredibly cohesive, and also at the same time, it's just the uniqueness of it too. It is great. That this is 24 songs, and this isn't me on song 23 being like, all right, we've heard this before. Every single song is fresh. Every single song is standalone, and that is very, very impressive. I loved the start of it. I will say, if I do have one small critique, and maybe this will change with more listens, is that it started off with, sampling Outkast, sampling DMX, sampling all of these like hip hop premier acts and legends. And he did have stuff on the back end, like What If, which I'll get to in a second. But the sampling that he did was so dope. I almost wish that he would have continued that throughout every single song on the album. Like, I don't care how on the nose it would have been. Everything that he did in terms of the sample was tasteful. Like, I didn't see the fucking ATLian sample coming. I didn't see that. When it happened, I looked at Chris and I was like, "Holy shit, I can't believe this happened." The DMX sample. When that happened, I looked at Chris. I said, "Holy shit! How did I not see this coming?" Like, it was the it was so unpredictable. Yet when you heard it, it just perfectly fit. And I think that is a very I think that is something that just articulates how well J. Cole understands hip hop and understands music in general. The way he was able to kind of seamlessly fit these in, and I kind of wish he just kept doing that for the whole second disc. But I'm sure there's more samples and references that I didn't catch because this is just my very first immediate reaction, by the way. I had just heard disc one, just heard disc two, didn't rewind absolutely nothing. So everything is like my raw thoughts and opinion. But that was, like Chris mentioned it, like when you talk about send offs, like I don't know of a better send off. Again, I heard the Black Album, which to me is an elite album and one of the greatest, top 25 hip hop albums to me. And I feel like this was a better send off. And I don't want to be prisoner of the moment. I want to give it time. But the versatility of it, the rapping of it, again, I was wrong. I thought he was going to have one song where he addressed 2024 and moved on. I guess that one song is Puerto Antonio. I guess he said all he needed to say in that moment because I didn't catch no sneak disses. And I know Twitter and, content creators are going to reach for oh, this is a double entendre to diss Kendrick or to diss Drake or whatever. I don't feel that way. As somebody that was actively listening to every word that was said, again, I could have missed some things, but at the same time, I don't feel like there was a single thing that was that was a result of 2024. Like he said, this album, the second disc, was inspired by 2024, but he didn't say that this was going to cover 2024, that this was going to mention 2024. And he didn't, man. He didn't. There was no Travis Scott industry ass feature. There was no disrespect. There was nothing about this that wasn't organic, that wasn't real, that wasn't the perspective. I feel like honestly this is I don't know J. Cole. I feel like he is going to sit back and he is going to listen to this album and he is proud of what he did. and I think he is at peace with what he did. And as somebody that is a fan of J. Cole, I don't think I can ask for much more. Because as a music listener, again, I'm having conversation in my head. Is this greater than 2014 Forest Hills Drive? That's where I'm at right now. Like Chris started with the take, and I was riding with him. He was like, of the big three, because they're always going to be the big three, no matter what. No matter how much you kill the narrative, it's always going to be a big three. He was like, of the 2020 releases, I like this the best. And that was after disc 1. And I'm like, I'm riding with it. I don't want to be a hot take, prisoner of the moment. But I'm riding with it. I don't see a world in which I like GNX more than I like this album.
Or Mr. Morale, even.
Well, I was saying GNX because GNX is my favorite. You brought up Mr. Morale.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
You're saying GNX
GNX was that for the 2020s of the big three so far.
This, I think, takes it.
I don't see how I could ever sit here and argue GNX over this album. And I don't want to continue to do the Cole, Kendrick, Drake comparisons, but it just is what it is. And I feel very comfortable saying that. Like I feel very comfortable, and this is going to be put out there. So, if you ever hear me argue GNX over this album, hold me to the fire. Like, hold me accountable. I know this is first listen, so everything can change, but I don't see myself. I don't see a way in which I don't love this album more with the more I listen to it. I am already very blown away by it. I don't see a world in which I don't love it more. I thought this album was very thoughtful, very creative, very versatile. I think J. Cole did exactly what he needed to do with this album. And as a longtime J. Cole fan, I hope you stick around and do features and do these sporadic records here and there. But if this is truly your send-off, if this is it, if this is the last album, if we don't get It's a Boy, if all of that other shit is just, gone, and this is what we have, I'm completely content and okay with it. I really am. I thought this was just amazing. Like truly amazing. I truly think that this album was a masterclass, like you said, AP. I love that word. Tomorrow when we record the podcast, saying tomorrow like it's not today, but when we record the podcast, like, I'm going to shut up. Like, I've said all I've said right here in this video. I'm just going to let everybody else talk and react to this album, because there ain't no fucking way that people are speechless about this album, because this was a fantastic send-off album. Again, all the criticism everybody had, myself included. I said that Cole could talk tough. I said that I wouldn't care because I contextualize it. I said that this could be the greatest rap album ever, and this doesn't change my opinion on where he ranks all time. And I gotta say, he did his best to make me question that. Now, I still stand where I stand. I don't think this album changes where I have him ranked. I have my top, I have my top blank all time, and he ranks blank all time. I'm going to drop that another time. But it doesn't move him up a level, but I also think at the same time this was the absolute best way we've ever seen any rapper retire. So, salute to J. Cole. J. Cole, you should be proud. You should be at peace with what you did with this record. And I can't wait to see the Twitter reception, because, man, you had so many moments that, like, as a hip-hop fan, I loved. I mean, I literally got teary-eyed when he did the What If song. Like when he did the perspective of like Pac and Big and going through that dynamic and how that could have been prevented with just one grown man conversation. It breaks my heart. It was just beautiful. It was just beautifully done. Like a lot of people have talked about like Big and Pac and their passing and how unfortunate it was and how they wish it wouldn't have been that. But the way J. Cole did that was just so beautiful, rhyming from the perspective of Biggie with the flows, with the everything. Same with Pac. Like, dude, this guy J. Cole is just it, man. It's just it. I'm sorry. There's nobody that loves rap that can hate this album. If you say you love rap, if you say you love hip hop, there's absolutely zero way you can hate on it. I'm not going to name names in the media game because I'm not going to be messy like that, but everybody in hip hop media, if you review this album negatively, that tells me about you. That tells me about your love and your passion and your appreciation. And I know that may be goofy coming from me, but I am going to look at you sideways because this was an absolute perfect love letter to hip hop. And if you're not with it, then I look at you funny. And that's just what it is. But that's all I got to say for now. I'm going to run this album again and again and again and again until I do the podcast tomorrow with the whole crew. So shout out to the whole crew. They will be on the episode with us tomorrow, breaking it down. Please let me know in the comments below what you think of this album. This is my first immediate raw reaction. I just felt like this was a special moment. So I felt like I had to be there and get it out right away. This is Chris Platte, a.k.a. Platte Pods, with Big AP in the back producing, as always. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Peace out.